I'm going to talk you through the various ones that I use, and starting from the least aggressive to the most aggressive, and give you some tips of what I've learned. First of all though, whenever you do topical treatment, you've got to use something like this. Even on small fish, if they're flapping around, they'll hurt themselves. These work really well. I'll cover actually how that works on another video, but just follow the instructions, it's really great. Right, so the most gentle topical cleaner or antibacterial is Propolis. My favourite is this Propolis spray. You want to get the fish out, you sedate it, get it on the mat. Baby changing mat is great. Dry the wound off if you've got an ulcer that you're trying to treat. Dry it off, and a little spray of the Propolis creates a barrier which lasts for about a day. I find the spray better than this drop solution that empty labs do. I find that tends to fall off more quickly because it's a thicker layer. It's very sticky, it's very gunky, so it's difficult to rub in. So I find that spray works really well. So that's really good for ulcers, but it's only really when you're in the stages of it already healing. At the start, you need to hit it with something a bit stronger, and we'll come on to those in a second. If you've got a problem with fungus, then malachite is a great direct treatment. So if you've got cotton wool growths from the fish, you can get the fish out and dab it with that. You can sometimes do that without sedating it, just do it in the net, because you just need to dab it with something like a cotton pad like that, and that works really well. It stains it a bluey green colour so you can see it working. Next we've got this Kasuri antibacterial. It's iodine based and it's a spray, really effective. The only problem with it, although it kills things immediately, it washes off quite easily as well. And so you need to combine that with some of the powder pastes that form a barrier which lasts for about a day to give it a chance to work a bit longer. But that's really good. It's fairly gentle, although you don't want to keep on doing it too many times on the same treatment, but it's good to do several times when you're treating an ulcer. Right, now on to the best and worst. Potassium permanganate is a fantastic treatment, but it's also really dangerous. You can use this, you can treat the pond with it, you can use a dipping solution, or you can do it topical treatment. I would advise never doing a dip treatment. I've had fish basically die after doing that, even though I did it according to the instructions. It's a very aggressive treatment, and it's pretty unpleasant for the fish, and I've never seen a fish recover from the illness you're trying to treat after a dip. You can treat the whole pond with it. Bear in mind, it will knock your biological filter. So my preference is using potassium permanganate as a topical treatment, and there it works really well because it stays on the wound for several days, meaning it continues to fight the bacteria and help the fish heal. But it is very aggressive, so you don't want to do it too many times. You want to do it until it's clear that the healing process has started, so the wound isn't red and bloody. You don't want to put potassium permanganate on a wound that's in the process of healing. A bit of guidance on how to apply that. I use either one of these cotton buds or one of these. I normally use gloves because it will stain your hands. People talk about using it as a paste. That's really, really misleading, because you want it to be fully dissolved, but you want it to be really concentrated. There's not a problem with it being really concentrated. That's fine for doing a topical treatment, but you want to make sure it's all dissolved, so you don't want to see this little specks of the potassium permanganate in your solution. You want to mix it all up. But you can do it with a few drips of water, make a very concentrated solution, then dab that on with one of these, and that will work really well. You don't need to leave it outside the water for long, so get your fish out, sedate it, put it on, and then get straight back in the water, because it will stick to the wound, and it will do a good job in most cases. Right, now on to the most aggressive that I've worked with. This is hydrogen peroxide. Now this, you can see fizzing on the flesh when you put it on. Very aggressive. I don't tend to use this. It's a problem with it is you can't see it because it's clear, it looks just like water, so you can't see if it's getting onto tissues that you don't want it to get onto, and you really don't want to get in anywhere near any sensitive parts of the fish, and you really don't want to get in anywhere near anything other than the direct bit you're treating. So when you're using that, you can use This, do not use that, that's too broad, but one of these dipped in the solution, dabbed onto the wound, you'll see it fizzing and bubbling. Then you need to rinse it off and apply some sort of sealer like the Propolis or some of the powder sealers that you can get. Kasuri do a really great pack that's got sedate, antibacterial treatment and a powder. So some people like hydrogen peroxide. I'd only use it, I think, as an antidote to potassium permanganate as a pond treatment, which I'm not going to cover today. But there you go, it's the most aggressive, and you need to be really careful if you do decide to use that as a topical treatment. So there you go, you've got a range of treatments there, all for different purposes. They do different things. If you do decide to use one, definitely look at a video of somebody doing it to give yourself a really good idea of how to use them.